Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. A researcher accused of smuggling biological material from China to a University of Michigan lab may be changing her plea today. According to federal prosecutors, Chung-Shan Han sent packages concealed with material related to roundworms to a U of M lab and lied to border agents about it. She's expected in federal court at 10 o'clock this morning. Now, if you're on the TV side of things, I'd like you to switch over to Local 4 Plus for another 90 minutes of conversations. We're going to be talking to the president of the Dearborn City Council about a vote that's happening tonight regarding banning short-term rentals, Airbnbs and Verbos in residential areas. Plus, we are going forward. Our next Go Forward event is making sure everybody knows the basics of first aid. And I must ask you a question. Have you heard of the World Beard and Mustache Championship? Apparently, some Metro Detroiters won some top honors. We're going to have them live in studio in a little bit. Also, Ashley comes back with your forecast now. Oops. I should have saw your count.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Welcome back to Local 4 Live. Get ready for another toasty day here in Metro Detroit. That poor air quality also sticking around with people, so if you have heart issues or respiratory problems, you may want to stay inside. Try to keep cool because of that air quality. Ashley will be tracking a chance for storms later this week as well. She will be here in just a few minutes. We do want to talk about a growing controversy in Wayne County. This is in Dearborn. If you rent Airbnbs or Verbos or live by one in Dearborn, you might not for much longer. The city is considering banning short-term rentals from residential areas. Instead, rentals would be restricted to the 2 downtown districts. Owners may also have to start registering their rental unit and get a license with the city. We're going to hear from the president of the Dearborn City Council in just a minute, so we want to know if you have any questions for him. All you have to do is scan that QR code on the right-hand side of your screen and submit that. What questions do you have? We will take those questions to him. But first, let's get to Priya Mann. She talked with people in Dearborn about the city's consideration.
When it comes to short-term rentals in Dearborn, we're talking about fewer than 100 properties, closer to 50 to 70 short-term rentals. The city says this move is in response to feedback that they've been getting from homeowners. Now, we were out talking to residents. Some homeowners do not want Airbnbs in their neighborhood. Others are open to the idea. In fact, you're going to hear from Abe, and he emailed me late last night saying he had spent the day doing research. He doesn't feel like his interview went far enough. He says this move by the city is, quote, government overreach.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think you got to keep the landlord in mind.
Abe Albusaid lives near Ford and Schaefer and has been thinking about turning his home into an Airbnb.
This neighborhood, it's a family oriented area, so when other families would come to visit other families, I would assume they'd want to stay in a house and not in a hotel.
But some Dearborn homeowners say Airbnbs are a growing nuisance in residential neighborhoods.
I don't like to have Airbnb in my neighborhood because the potential of people renting them just for parties and then disrupting our peace and quiet, and it gets a little crazy.
Earlier this year, Rita's neighbors had to call police on a large and noisy party at an Airbnb.
And then you have cars all over the place, so you have limited parking as is, and I don't want to have it in my area.
Now, Dearborn City Council is looking at changing the city code for Airbnbs. The council is considering prohibiting short-term rentals in single-family homes and banning them from residential zones.
I think that's a little tough. I mean, I can't see why a single family from a double family home can't be an Airbnb and vice versa and whatnot. But with a certain mandate, I think we should be fine.
What mandate?
Within certain restrictions, obviously, if you're, if it's a repeat offender where, this house is utilized for block parties over and over or something like that you're seeing, definitely should be a little bit of city interference in that.
And we did hear from the city in a statement. Officials say, we believe that limiting short-term rentals to commercial areas like our downtown districts will protect housing stock for residents, including long-term renters, alleviate noise and other nuisances in quiet neighborhoods, and still offer options to those seeking to book or profit from short-term stays. We are joining cities across the country in creating updated regulations to meet challenges these businesses may present. And again, City Council is voting tonight, and we'll bring you the very latest. I'm Priya Mann, Local 4. All
right, Priya, thank you so much. Joining me to talk more about this and other issues in the Dearborn community is the Dearborn City Council President, Michael Sereni. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on a Tuesday morning. Let me get your opinion on this Airbnb Verbo situation. As the president, do you lean one way or the other, or are you trying to keep an open mind? Michael, can you hear us?
Sorry, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you before.
There we go. Okay, I'll ask the question again. As the council president, are you on the fence about this issue, or are you leaning one way or the other already?
Well, for me, I think I've researched the issue. It's been a long time coming. We've been working on it for some time. We also spoke with our state legislatures on proposed bills that was happening before. And from our residents, as far as for me, they made it very clear. I mean, a residential neighborhood is a residential neighborhood. And to have a transient and a short-term aspect of rental is not something that our residents want. So for me, I think it's very clear that this is the right balance to mix. Still protecting these type of situations for short-term rentals, but more in our downtown districts and the zoning aspect. So
Gotcha.
that's the way I believe it should be done.
Now, some of the people that we've talked to and that I read some articles on the other side of it, the folks who are owning these properties and then renting them out, their arguments are, number one, it's my property. I should be able to do what I want with it. But number two, they say usually these are families that are in town to visit other family members or here for weddings or religious events, and they're not usually a loud party situation. What's your response to what they say?
No, absolutely. I asked to meet with several. They asked to meet. We met, and I did speak with many people regarding the advantage of the short-term rental on their aspect. So I didn't look at just one side. The party aspect and the short-term aspect was one part that we looked at, and why I come to the decision that I don't think this is great for Dearborn in our residential areas. But more importantly, as far as the property and what you can do with the property, absolutely, property rights are sacred, here in our country, and of course, it's their property. The issue is that you also have to live next to other people, and there's neighbors, and it's a neighborhood, and that's why we believe the zoning approach to this, to zone this more towards the downtown areas where people are more likely to frequent restaurants and other places when they're here in town, whether they're here for a medical procedure or they're here for a short term. But the aspect of renting a place and not having an ownership aspect to it for a very short 1 or 2 days causes problems in our neighborhoods.
Gotcha. Priya had mentioned that there's roughly 50 to 75 properties like this in the city of Dearborn. Do you know how many of those would fall in those two downtown districts?
Yeah, it's a great question. When we looked at it zoning aspect, we believe maybe a third of them would fit in the downtown districts that were already there. So there is some people on the outside that will be affected by it, and we did meet with them as well to discuss what's their plans for the long term. The housing stock's a big thing in Dearborn too. Our property values continue to increase, and people want to have home ownership in here.
So I guess there's also a second conversation here about the downtown district as a whole then, because not only, if this passes tonight, not only would this help promote some more visitors and coming to the downtown area, but it could improve the economy there as well.
Without question. I mean, we have a great downtown, and we have really been, on the comeback, and a lot of things we have done downtown to, set the table for business has worked. And the businesses have come and they are flourishing, and people are visiting, whether it's a coffee shop or a restaurant, eatery, or they have been visiting our downtowns in a very large numbers, and we want to make sure that they can utilize that. And the person that's living in the downtown area expects to have this type of traffic and people, and that's why you buy a house in the downtown.
Right. Okay, so the vote is happening tonight. I'm assuming probably 6 or 7 o'clock. You are one vote on the council. Any idea which way this is going to go?
Yeah, I've talked to most of my colleagues. I think we're comfortable with this aspect. We want to be fair. We don't believe in picking and choosing winners or losers and say that this person should have one and this one shouldn't, because there was a lot of animosity as far as, can we carve something out for one person, or these people don't have any violations, these do, these don't. We don't believe that's the right aspect. We want to be, with the law and protect our residents, and the zoning aspect is the best way. So I feel confident that that my colleagues agree with this aspect, and hopefully we'll see what happens tonight.
Gotcha. I want to pivot to another conversation that's kind of the opposite of this one. I know the mayor has been heavily involved in this project. Those are the peace parks, which essentially you found millions of dollars in every pocket that existed, both at the federal, state, and local level, to put this together. What are the peace parks?
Well, it's what we did is, if that shot you have on the screen, I mean, that was actually a site that was in litigation for many, many years. That was supposed to be a hotel that never got built, that ended up sitting there for at least 15, 20 years. And when the mayor came in, he came to me and said, can we get, the colleagues on the council, can you get them to do a different type of budgeting? I said, well, what kind of budgeting is that? And from the state aspect, what they do, and his experience in the state, was to give him an earmark of a certain amount of money. In this case, it was $10 million of ARPA funds. And they won't be appropriated. They will be appropriated individually, but to give him a bucket so he could go out and use that as leverage. He was able to do that. He was able to go to our county partners and to our state partners and get $20 million more. So we end up having $30 million that we could spend on $10 million of ARPA funds. And we turned in spaces that weren't activated into meeting places, gathering spots for people to come together. We have a great restaurant aspect in our Dearborn and coffee shops, but we needed gathering spaces, and this was places for people to meet, to have events, to have some social gatherings. It's been a tremendous hit.
Yeah, we saw there's two photos or renderings of parks that are in progress right now. I know a third is in the planning phases, so that's a phenomenal project. I do want to ask you one more question about flooding. I know flooding is always an issue and a concern in the Dearborn communities and many of the communities over there in Wayne County. But you've actually taken some steps to try to mitigate these issues, so when we have these heavy rains, we don't have as many problems. Can you kind of walk us through that?
Absolutely. I mean, that was a lead of my campaign last time, because I had sounded an alarm years earlier saying that we needed an independent study and that we were having problems with our sewer and it was being overlooked. So, I mean, I led that aspect. And for me, what we've done is done what most people do in your normal house. You have to maintain your facilities. And what we found out, there was many things that could hold millions of gallons of water that were only at 15% capacity because they weren't being maintained properly. They weren't regularly being maintained. So we immediately worked with that. We're also working with our state and local partners to try to find funds that we can get that will allow us to do major sewer overhauls, especially working with all our partners, because the flooding is a regional issue, and it does have to do with the property and which way your property is setting and how close you are to proximity and slopes. But what we can do is not just sit there and say we're not going to do anything. We actually, another initiative the council brought up, I brought up, and my councils agreed with me completely, was we have 10,000 catch basins that are not regularly maintained that need to be cleaned out, that will allow water to flow through. We've instituted that program, and now we have 2 full-time staffers that are going around and are cleaning these on a regular basis to make sure that we mitigate whatever we can right now. And it has made a difference. We've had some flooding, and we have been able to cure that issue.
Wow. Michael, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know you were very busy with all the things happening in Dearborn. I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but the producer says we're out of time. So, Michael, thank you, sir.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.
A Hazel Park family is finally able to lay their loved one to rest. Next, the extensive testing to try to bring closure to a 75-year-old mystery. That story next. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. Let's get to some of your headlines this morning. A Hazel Park family getting much needed closure after the loved one is no longer unaccounted for. U.S. Army Private First Class William Wheeler was 18 years old when he was deployed to the Korean War. He went missing in September 1950 after his unit fought the North Korean People's Army. 1 month later, the military determined he was killed in action, but his body was never found. Well, Private First Class William Wheeler is no longer on that unaccounted for list. Unknown remains from a POW camp have gone through extensive testing, and 75 years later, we now know some of those remains are him. His remains will return home to Michigan. He's going to be buried in Troy later this year. Now, his family is not the only one that has spent years looking for closure. In fact, there are more than 7 100,000 American soldiers still on that unaccounted for list from the Korean War. Well, the battle between raw sewage in Oakland and Macomb County is now getting some state intervention. If you remember, I brought you this story a few months ago. This is all centered around sewage overflow into the Red Run drain over onto Quinder. Macomb County says Oakland County was doing this on purpose. Oakland County says it was a necessity because of heavy rain. Now, according to Macomb County Public Works Commissioner Candace Miller, EGLE, the state agency, is looking at escalated enforcement action, including penalties and fines for Oakland County. Oakland County responded saying only a regional approach can fix this problem, and sewage overflows and basement backups due to extremely heavy rains remain a problem. Adding, Macomb County Public Works Commissioner is trying to create controversy where there is none, choosing to play politics and cast blame on Oakland County instead of working on a regional solution. Well, after much discussion, the city of Royal Oak is saying goodbye to its troubled meters and getting a new parking system. The city commission last night approved an agreement with Flowbird and Park Mobile. This comes after years of frustrations with the current camera-based system where thousands of wrong tickets were issued. City leaders hope the new system will ease some parking headaches.
The result will be a customer-focused, sustainable, and forward-thinking parking system that better serves the Royal Oak community as a whole. We're very proud of this parking agreement to present to you. It is definitely 180% or 180 degrees different. It is completely in the city's favor and comes with our highest recommendation.
Now, here's a caveat. Drivers will still have to deal with the current system for a little bit longer. In fact, the rest of this year. Then, next year, 150 meters will get installed. Well, one of the country's most iconic views is full of smoke right now. You're looking live at the Grand Canyon where a wildfire is burning along the North Rim. That fire has burned more than 5,000 acres and destroyed several buildings, including the iconic Grand Canyon Lodge. It's nearly a century old and was a getaway for hikers trying to take in the views. Park officials have closed access to the North Rim for the rest of this season. Well, new overnight, the Northeast is dealing with major flooding this morning. New Jersey under a state of emergency, and some subways in New York are underwater or damaged. In parts of Pennsylvania, people are being rescued from flooding. The FAA says there will be travel delays today at airports in New York, Washington, and Boston. New York City is under a flash flood watch until tonight, and people in basement apartments are being told to evacuate. Let's go live to Washington, D.C. now. In the White House there this afternoon, President Trump, he's heading to Pittsburgh for a summit on AI and energy. Yesterday, the president met with NATO's Secretary General and announced a plan to rearm Ukraine. That includes sending billions of dollars worth of weapons to NATO allies. The president also set a 50-day deadline for Russia to agree to a ceasefire. If that doesn't happen, the president says he will issue sanctions on trading partners who buy Russian oil and other exports. Well, it's July, and in less than 1 week, everybody can rejoice. Lions football is back. And while they will not be at Ford Field anytime soon, there is a chance for fans to snag some training camp tickets. I'm going to show you how when we come back. Well, hey, everybody. Let's take a live look at Ford Field this morning. We are inching closer and closer to the start of a new season. Forward down the field. It's one thing that's a sure indication of Lions football coming back. You know what that is? Training camp. Now, you can get your Lions fix with free training camp tickets. They go on sale this morning in 1 hour and 10 minutes. That's 10 o'clock on the Detroit Lions website. Now, you're looking at a list of the 10 practices that are open to the public. 3 of them are exclusively for Lions loyal members, but act quick. The tickets tend to sell out fast. Ashley?
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, it's going to be a hot and hazy day as air quality remains a concern across southeastern Michigan. The advisory has been extended through today, so just alerting you that the air quality will be unhealthy for sensitive groups. Now, temperature changes. Today, hottest day of the week, but we do have a cooler end to the week where it'll be much more pleasant by the time we get to Friday, which means we have a couple more days to get through. So we have some storm chances sandwiched in between all that on your Wednesday and Thursday. Air quality alert will lift tonight, but right now in effect for southeastern Michigan, where the air quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups. What does that mean? Well, those that might suffer from asthma or upper respiratory illnesses. Check on your neighbors, your loved ones, and those folks should be limiting time outside. And if you could do the same, I mean, that's the safer bet, but at least there's a little improvement from this being unhealthy for everyone like it was yesterday. So looking at the map right now, where we do have moderate pollutants from the smoke draping the Great Lakes region, but a little worse across southeastern Michigan. So that smoke forecast will be improving as this is set to lift to the north and northeast. So by the time we get to tomorrow morning, you'll notice a difference. However, we're trading that smoke for severe weather potential. So marginal level 1 risk for strong to severe storms from lower Michigan off towards Denver, with that slight level 2 risk just to the west of Lake Michigan stretching down towards Chicago. That's for your Wednesday. So we will have more of the pop-up scattered variety showers and storms. Otherwise, this is a good pool day today as we have calm conditions, but it'll be that hazy sunshine. Lather up on the sunscreen. That smoke not going to protect you still from the UV index, but we'll be in the low 90s and overall just a hot day. So try to stay hydrated and cool and maybe limit that pool time outside because of the air quality. So clouds and radar, a couple little shower chances on the east side in the morning, but a better chance for more of the pop-up scattered variety heading into the afternoon and evening tomorrow. And so you might get just a brief passing downpour, but we do have a front that kind of situates itself to our north. I think that brings better rain potential as far as the intensity up into the thumb region by tomorrow evening. But what I'm not going to rule out as a low pressure system rolls through is the fact that we could have some heavier downpours Wednesday night, and then a cold front sweeps through Thursday. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Here's that low, and then that cold front sweeping in, and that could trigger some more linear storms by the time we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. But the high pressure will replace that, which means Friday we should get those blue skies that we're overdue for, because the last couple days we should have had blue skies and we've had the hazy conditions from the wildfire smoke. So upper 80s on Wednesday, still in the mid to upper 80s Thursday before that cold front brings that cooler, more dry air mass, and we'll be right around 80 for the afternoon high on Friday. Some areas might not even reach that. Upper 70s possible, and then seasonal low 80s for the rest of the upcoming weekend.
Welcome back. Our July Go Forward event is today, and we are focusing on first aid basics. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with the story of a local family who knows just how important those basics truly are.
As an emergency physician, I am more prepared to handle a medical emergency than the average person. But in most cases, you don't need to be a doctor to make a difference. You just need to know some basic skills and be willing to act like one Sterling Heights teenager who used his first aid skills to save his own mother. 3 years ago, the Jakobison family was having dinner when suddenly Mom Jennifer
started choking, and I could feel I couldn't get it up. And so I stood up and I started pounding like at my chest. And that's when I think Drew and my husband both noticed something was wrong. And I made the gasping, like I put my hand around so they could see that something was wrong.
Her son Drew was only 13 at the time, but first aid training through Boy Scouts prepared him for what to do.
I get up without any hesitation, get behind her, perform the Heimlich maneuver. That didn't quite work all the way, so then I hit her on between the shoulder blades with my hand hard enough, and she spit the food out. And that was a great relief for all of us.
If it weren't for scouting and basic first aid training, do you think you would have been able to help your mom?
Maybe a little bit, but I certainly wouldn't have known. I probably wouldn't have known the Heimlich maneuver. I had no hesitation because I knew what to do from the training I had received for multiple years of scouting.
How important to you is it that he had that skill available at that moment?
100%, 1000%. If he hadn't, like I said, I don't know that I would be here.
Yeah. And if you're not involved in scouting, what about the value of just first aid training?
Huge. Without it, you could be a bystander to somebody dying. And then what are you going to feel like? If you could have intervened and helped, if you had that skill.
Now, if you want to learn more, I hope you'll join me today for our July Go For It First Aid Basics. You can sign up right now using the QR code on the screen or by going to clickondetroit.com. We'll be offering the free class starting each hour from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at U of M Dearborn's Fairlane Center South Building at 19,000 Hubbard Drive in Dearborn. Bring a friend or come by yourself. I hope to see lots of you there. Now, walk-ins are welcome, but we encourage you to sign up in case some time slots fill up.
We're actually going to head out to that Go For It event in the next hour of Local 4 Live. Doc McGee is going to join us live. Plus, it's all over the news. Children at a summer camp killed in that flash flooding in Texas. So how do you talk to your kids about tragedies like that? A clinical psychologist will join us. Plus, we know most fast food isn't great for you, but what is the unhealthiest of them all? I'm going to show you the top 5.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli, and we are following a lot of news here locally and nationally in the next hour. We're going to start with the flooding in Texas and loss of children. That's been all over the news. If you have any kids, they probably have heard about what happened, but how do you talk to them about what happened? We're going to sit down with a clinical psychologist to go over just that and try to get some ideas. Plus, we are keeping an eye on the stock market as we just got an update on inflation and the prices you pay. We're going to take you live to the start of trading in our half hour. Then, live from our next Go Forward event, we are learning the basics of first aid with Dr. Frank McGeorge. The doctor is in a different building, but we'll talk to him live. We have those capabilities. Also, we're going to have a little fun this morning. Some local winners of the World Beard and Mustache Competition here in studio. Director Michelle normally stays for 30 minutes. She's going to stay all hour to make sure she can see the beards and mustaches up close and in person. Right, Michelle? Don't nod your head at me. Don't shake at me. Let's get to some of your headlines this morning. We are in for another hazy day here in Metro Detroit. Temperatures hitting 90 degrees, and there is an air quality alert again, and it lasts until tonight because of the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Experts say on days like this, try to limit any strenuous outdoor activity, especially if you have breathing problems or a heart condition. Ashley Barresi has more on the air quality coming up in just a few minutes. Let's go over to downtown Detroit, where a researcher accused of smuggling biological material from China to a University of Michigan lab could be in federal court today to change her plea. Federal prosecutors say Chung Chong Han sent packages concealed with material related to roundworms to a U of M lab and lied to border agents about it. She is expected to be in that downtown federal court at 10 o'clock this morning. A Detroit woman is due back in court after a crash that killed 2 people at a bus stop. 33-year-old Deja Berry is facing charges including reckless driving causing death. Prosecutors say Berry was speeding south on Evergreen Road when she lost control, crossing into oncoming traffic and then slamming into a bus stop on April 25th. That killed a 43-year-old man and a 41-year-old woman. Berry was driving with a suspended license when that crash happened. Attorney General Dana Nessel is joining a coalition of 22 states suing the Trump administration over its decision to freeze more than $6 billion in education grants. The lawsuit argues the funding freeze is unconstitutional and claims the freeze has impacted summer and after-school programs, teacher training, and services for children with special needs. Just yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled the Trump administration could move forward with plans to carry out mass layoffs at the Department of Education. Well, Local 4's next Go Forward event starts in about an hour, in fact, 57 minutes. And we know accidents and injuries can happen at any time, anywhere. So today's event is focusing on the basics of first aid. If you haven't already signed up to take part, they're still accepting walk-ins. Now, our Dr. Frank McGeorge is live at U of M Dearborn's Fairlane Center South with what we're learning today. And Doc, these are things that everybody really should know.
Absolutely, Nick. These are things that everybody should know simply because you never know when an emergency is going to come up, whether it's you in your personal life or whether maybe it's a friend or a bystander. You never know when you're going to need these kinds of skills. And so actually this morning, one of our instructors is joining me, and that's Orlando Gregory. And so, Mr. Gregory, tell me a little bit about what people are going to learn today in today's CPR event. Or not CPR. I keep saying CPR, eh? I know, right? It's like in my head. I apologize. First aid event.
Right. We just great to be here with Channel 4 and partner with the University of Michigan, Dearborn, and the American Red Cross to offer a lot of different first aid skills for this today. Today is not a certification day. It's just a day to get some additional skills relative to first aid, relative to severe allergic reaction, relative to choking, and things like that. So we have a plethora of instructors here that will be doing some instructing in different classes, and we look forward to the entire day of the citizens showing up and getting these skills relative to important skills as relates to first aid. Right.
Well, and I think, one of the most important things is that people will have an opportunity for some hands-on education. So along those lines, you brought some props here. I guess talk about the things that people will have an opportunity to use or experience.
Yes, we want this day to be engaging and some practical skills. So we have an infant mannequin here when we get ready to do the choking infant. We can utilize the infant mannequin. We also have a limb here. When we get ready to do the bleeding, we can either do a superficial bleeding or a life-threatening bleeding. Then we have an epinephrine pen. EpiPen is what is known as, relative to severe allergic reaction. We'll give the people some skill sets on how to use these particular things in the class. Very engaging, very animated, and we'll be able to do those skills for first aid.
That's exceptional. So you've been teaching this course for a while now. I guess tell me a little bit about what you're surprised people don't know.
Well, what I'm surprised that people don't know is the statistics show that the family members don't know, and if something goes down in the family relative to CPR or first aid, a lot of the citizenry is not trained to do that initial help before the public safety arrived. My background is public safety. I've been on Detroit Fire Department 25 years and also 7 years with the American Red Cross as an instructor. And this is just my pedigree, and this is what I do. But we try to get the citizens more versed at doing something before emergency services arrive. First aid and all that good stuff.
Orlando, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. Hey, you guys, I want to leave you with one thing every time you see me on TV, by the way, and I realize this is plus, but it's basically TV. So if you are confused about whether to use ice or heat on a sprain, just remember the mnemonic RICE, R-I-C-E, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Ice. Do not use heat on a new sprain because that will increase the swelling. There you go. There's your first tip for the morning.
See,
Nick, back to you.
We love having a doctor on our payroll. Doc, thank you so much. I actually do have a question for you, though. Not to tug at your heartstrings at all, but some of these things can be life or death training situations. How many times have you been in your emergency room and knowing one of the things that we're going to teach people today could have saved a life, and how devastating is it for the family when they know that if they would have known what to do, their loved one would still be alive?
Well, that's just it. It's surprising how often people are taken aback or caught off guard. And there are many situations where I've seen people could have intervened and they didn't, and because of that, the person did lose their life. But honestly, it's not even necessarily life and death. It's just about severity of injury. I've seen plenty of cases where even something as simple as a burn, it was mismanaged initially because somebody just didn't know the right answer, and they suffered a more severe injury as a result. So these kinds of skills really are important, not just for saving a life, but honestly just for reducing the amount of injury present. So I would encourage everybody to come on down. You can still try and sign up online, but walk-ins are welcome. We're at Fairlane Center South, 19000 Hubbard Drive in Dearborn.
He even memorizes addresses. All right, Doc, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I know. It's only because it was 19000. Otherwise, I would have totally whiffed it.
You have to give away your secrets. All right. Thank you, Doc. We'll check in with you a little bit here later on Local 4 Plus and Local 4 Live. Now, remember, as he just mentioned, but I want to put the information there on your screen as well. We are taking those walk-ins at U of M Dearborn at the Fairlane Center. He just told you the address there on Hubbard Drive. You can scan that QR code to register ahead of time, but they are taking walk-ins as well. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn some of these first aid basics for free at an event, and you'll see some of your favorite Local 4 folks there as well. I saw Darnell just hit the road. He'll be out there in just a moment. When we come back, an update from that devastating tragedy in Texas. Flooding hitting that state over the past week. How can you talk to your kids about not only this, but difficult subjects just like this when we come back? Welcome back to Local 4 Live. Today, many Texas residents coping with severe weather yet again, or its aftermath, as search and rescue efforts continue. On Monday, many were told to move to higher ground as more rain threatened to cause additional flooding in that region. 129 people are confirmed dead in Central Texas after those floods earlier this month. 160 people are still missing. Now, some of those victims, many of them, were from Camp Mystic, an all-girls Christian camp along the Guadalupe River. The area saw more flash flooding yesterday and over the weekend. Flood watches and advisories remain in effect for that area as more rain is still expected in parts of the states. So today we want to have a conversation not only about the flooding, but just to talk to Dr. Rose Moten about how to talk about these things with your children. Yeah. Tragedy is one thing. It's a difficult conversation. I think once you include tragedy involving the loss of children, yes, it elevates it because now it really hits home. Somebody their age has lost their life. So
someone their age, exactly.
Right. How do you have that conversation without scaring them, yes, and traumatizing them?
Yeah, first of all, my heart goes out to the community, the parents. It's a parents and community's worst nightmare, and it's that conversation you hope to never have to have with your children, but you must have it. You must have it. Oftentimes parents believe that if we just, keep it from them, yeah, it'll go away, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Why do you think we must have the conversation?
Because children are picking up on the parents' cues all the time. They're hearing the story, they're hearing the devastation. For some of these children, especially in the area, it may be friends of theirs that they have lost. Yeah. So when parents refuse to have the conversation, again, thinking that it's in the best interest of the child, what really is going to happen is that child is going to create all types of narratives in their head. Oh, okay. And that just makes it so much worse, exponentially.
Interesting you say that, because after we had one of our tragedies here at a high school, mm-hmm, I traveled to Columbine to talk to the folks there about some things that they had learned after the fact, and the do's and don'ts. And they had said that one of the hardest lessons they learned after the fact was that they really dealt with the trauma of the kids involved at the school, yeah, but neglected their siblings.
Wow, yes.
Because they had their own trauma and forgot that they were going through something, even though they weren't in the school at the same time.
That's so true.
So, it's to your point, I think we often forget how keen, yes, and how tuned in our kids really are. They're paying attention. They pick up everything, and we don't notice it.
Everything. I've said oftentimes they're little sponges.
Yeah.
And to your point, they look at the victims, they look at the parents, but they forget the siblings. And the siblings, there's so many layers to grief for young children, right, depending on their age, but all children, yeah, just don't have the capacity, the brain development to be able to process it properly. Right. So it's up to us to do that for them. And it's not unusual for children, when you talk about like the siblings of the children, mm-hmm, they're experiencing their grief, but also they're looking to their parents because it's like, how is my parent reacting?
Sure.
And for children, it's not unusual for them to suppress their emotions and grief in an effort not to put more on the parent that is grieving, which again will show up later on in life. So. Right. Talking to your children, speaking honestly with them, really helps to not only help them process it, but it fortifies them later on in life.
Right. Yeah. So with this Texas situation, let's say it's a Metro Detroit family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not something that has hit us unless you have maybe relatives or friends down there. But it's just something that has happened. Is that still a conversation you should have if there's not a direct connection? Yeah. And how do you open that door?
You open the door just like you would open a door with anything else. If you're sitting at the dinner table, I always say it's a great time to talk to kids in the car, believe it or not.
Because they're trapped and can't get away from you?
Not just because of that. That's a good point. That's not the point I was making. But because it can be uncomfortable when you broach uncomfortable conversations, and sometimes the eye contact with kids is hard. So when you're in a car, they don't have to make that eye contact. They don't have to make that eye contact.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, so that can be a great starting point to at least start the conversation. Yeah. But you can, again, eye contact is important, but we have to keep in mind the child's lack of experience in dealing with these type of tragedies. So it can be very uncomfortable. Anything we can do to help minimize the discomfort is going to help our message that we're wanting to impart on them to be received much more easily.
So what is the message? What do we tell them about dealing dealing with the grief of a tragedy like this?
Yeah, we want to, first and foremost, just really ensure them about their own safety.
Okay.
Because one of the things, you know, when I was a carefree kid without a care in the world, trauma or death was the furthest thing from my mind until I faced that,
Right,
you know.
right.
So you want to just really impress onto them their safety and how there are people out there that are ensuring their safety and how safety mechanisms, especially this time of the year with children going to camp.
Right.
Because this is being talked about with their friends. You better believe if
Sure.
they're going outside and
Right,
playing with friends or they're over friends' homes, it's being talked about in the homes. And so they're picking up on all of this. So really to really impart what's being done as far as helping the families and the victims in Texas, but also preventative measures that are being done even in our area.
Sure.
So if there is some natural disaster that occurs, you know, come up with a plan as a family. That's always so very important.
Probably is comforting just to have something like that.
It's comforting because it empowers the children.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My daughter is overly curious, right? She wants to know details of everything. How detailed do you get with the kids?
It's age appropriate, so depending on that child. And that's something we have great resources online now, right? But if you know a therapist or someone that works with children, you can even Google. I'm really big on educating parents about the different psychosocial developmental stages children are in, because I have 4 children myself. They're all adults now. I tell them they're my peers now, but they're all adults now, but they were all in different developmental stages. So the conversation I would have with my oldest child would be different with my youngest child because, again, the brain development. A 5-year-old cannot conceptualize or think abstractly like a 17-year-old can. So you want to take that in consideration. Use the language that's appropriate to their developmental stage.
Okay, so, and then in terms of recognizing if your child might be suffering through some kind of trauma, or if they're seeing something like, you know, this horrendous event in Texas or closer to home, how do you know when they might want to talk or they need some space alone? Like, you know, we're trying to figure out what the boundaries are.
Any change in behavior.
Okay.
And not just behavior. For children, it's not uncommon for when they are afraid or they're confused or they don't know what to do with their emotions, they manifest itself physically. So complaining about some somatic symptoms such as headaches or stomach aches or things of that sort is something to look out for, because that could be an indication that they're having difficulty with processing some emotions that's going on with them. But any change in behavior such as withdrawal, not wanting to go outside, you know, or not wanting to go to camp, you know, these type of things can be key indicators that that conversation needs to be had.
I've seen it the opposite way, where there's sometimes anger.
That's an emotion too.
Yeah.
You know, so especially if you're not used to that child being angry.
Right,
you know?
right.
So that shift and seeing an angry child is an indication that, oh, something's going on here. As a parent, it's our responsibility to investigate that.
Right. Okay. And then last thing for you. Every parent has the best, you know, intentions for all their kids, but sometimes we need professional help.
Yes.
What's the best way to get a hold of, you know, maybe you or another, you know, professional just looking for some guidance?
So it's great to talk to your pediatrician.
Okay.
Friends and families are great referral sources. So especially if they've had their children involved in be it camps or therapists that they found beneficial, that's a great place to start. We've really, over the years, destigmatized the whole
mental health conversation.
Mental health conversation. So that's a great starting point as well.
Okay, Dr. Moulton, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate your time. We're going to keep you on speed dial.
Thank you.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk more about haze and then rain. Former meteorologist Ashley Barrissey is back with the forecast that includes some potential storms, and we're going to reveal the unhealthiest fast food spots before you make your plans for lunch today. Want to stick around, Dr. Moulton? See that one? Welcome back, everybody. The next time you have to drive through a drive-through restaurant, you might want to consider the long-term health effects. A new study from World Atlas ranks the top 10 unhealthiest fast food chains in America. The study looks at things like calories, fat, sodium, and added sugar in fast food meals that potentially contributes to higher risks of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. A couple of unhealthy chains on that list: number 5, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Number 4 is Dairy Queen. Number 3 is Taco Bell. Number 2 is Sonic. The number 1 unhealthiest, Wendy's. Oh boy, there goes my Frosty. When we come back, we're going to talk more about your money. Oh, you know what we're going to do instead? We're going to talk to Ashley. We're talking about the unhealthy air in the area, and the air quality alerts have now extended through tonight. Ashley.
Now, forewarned weather with ExactTrack 4D.
Well, it's going to be a hot and hazy day as air quality remains a concern across southeastern Michigan. The advisory has been extended through today, so just alerting you that the air quality will be unhealthy for sensitive groups. Now, temperature changes. Today, hottest day of the week, but we do have a cooler end to the week where it'll be much more pleasant by the time we get to Friday, which means we have a couple more days to get through. So we have some storm chances sandwiched in between all that on your Wednesday and Thursday. Air quality alert will lift tonight, but right now in effect for southeastern Michigan, where the air quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups. What does that mean? Well, those that might suffer from asthma or upper respiratory illnesses. Check on your neighbors, your loved ones, and those folks should be limiting time outside. And if you could do the same, I mean, that's the safer bet, but at least there's a little improvement from this being unhealthy for everyone like it was yesterday. So looking at the map right now, where we do have moderate pollutants from the smoke draping the Great Lakes region, but a little worse across southeastern Michigan. So that smoke forecast will be improving as this is set to lift to the north and northeast. So by the time we get to tomorrow morning, you'll notice a difference. However, we're trading that smoke for severe weather potential. So marginal level 1 risk for strong to severe storms from lower Michigan off towards Denver, with that slight level 2 risk just to the west of Lake Michigan stretching down towards Chicago. That's for your Wednesday. So we will have more of the pop-up scattered variety showers and storms. Otherwise, this is a good pool day today as we have calm conditions, but it'll be that hazy sunshine. Lather up on the sunscreen. That smoke not going to protect you still from the UV index, but we'll be in the low 90s and overall just a hot day. So try to stay hydrated and cool and maybe limit that pool time outside because of the air quality. So clouds and radar, a couple little shower chances on the east side in the morning, but a better chance for more of the pop-up scattered variety heading into the afternoon and evening tomorrow. And so you might get just a brief passing downpour, but we do have a front that kind of situates itself to our north. I think that brings better rain potential as far as the intensity up into the thumb region by tomorrow evening. But what I'm not going to rule out as a low pressure system rolls through is the fact that we could have some heavier downpours Wednesday night, and then a cold front sweeps through Thursday. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Here's that low, and then that cold front sweeping in, and that could trigger some more linear storms by the time we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. But the high pressure will replace that, which means Friday we should get those blue skies that we're overdue for, because the last couple days we should have had blue skies and we've had the hazy conditions from the wildfire smoke. So upper 80s on Wednesday, still in the mid to upper 80s Thursday before that cold front brings that cooler, more dry air mass, and we'll be right around 80 for the afternoon high on Friday. Some areas might not even reach that. Upper 70s possible, and then seasonal low 80s for the rest of the upcoming weekend.
Ashley, thank you so much. When we come back, we are going to talk about your money with a new report just out about inflation and the prices you pay, plus an update on the housing market and some potentially falling rates. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, 927 here on Tuesday. Some signs they're showing that the housing market is cooling off. Nearly a third of the 100 largest housing markets in the U.S. are now showing annual declines in prices, according to a report from ICE Mortgage Technology. It found annual price declines of at least a full percentage point in those markets. And overall prices rose just 1.3% annually. That was the slowest rate in 2 years. This comes as inventory decreases and demand slows due to high mortgage rates and overinflated home prices. Well, New York police are warning residents today after 4 kids were recently caught subway surfing. Take a look at this video. The NYPD's drone team spotted this group of boys, 12 to 16 years old, riding on top of an express train. The train was stopped and held at a nearby station. Officers arrested the 4. Police say they have had to stop over 200 people from subway surfing since November of 2023. They are saying residents will be arrested and fined for doing this, as they should be. We've got so much more for you in the next half hour of Local 4 Live. When we come back, Dr. McGeorge is at our Go Forward event. We're looking live there right now as all the teams are getting ready to welcome all those folks who want to learn their first aid basics over in Dearborn. We'll take you to that spot next.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you so much for watching. Let's take a live look at the stock market this morning. Opened just 39 seconds ago. We're getting new information on inflation and the prices UK. You can see we are, okay. I'm saying that because one of our cameras is going rogue on me behind the scenes. You can see currently we are barely down anything, but as I say every day, it's very difficult to get any idea of what the market's going to look like in the first 60 seconds of being open. We are paying attention to inflation, the prices you're paying. A new report finds inflation rose last month to its highest level in 4 months. The cost of gas, food, and groceries all increased. You can see the impact it's having on the stock market, barely up and down. Well, again, we're going to show you that throughout the rest of the show. And some of your other headlines this morning. 4 astronauts have landed on Earth from the Axiom 4 mission. The Dragon spacecraft safely splashed off the coast of San Diego, California. The AX-4 crew left for Earth back in June, spending 18 days at the International Space Station following the retrieval of the crew by a specialized ship. All 4 astronauts will now undergo a 7-day rehab program to help adapt back to Earth's gravity. Well, today firefighters continue to battle 2 wildfires near the Grand Canyon. The experts say the Dragon Bravo fire started on July 4th. It has burned more than 5,000 acres and destroyed the iconic Grand Canyon Lodge. A few days later, the White Sage fire started. This is video there of the heavy smoke from the fire. Fire officials say hundreds of people, including tourists, have been evacuated. Right now, strong winds are making it even harder for firefighters to get those fires under control. Well, two of Northville's downtown streets have reopened because of a judge's order. Traffic is flowing again this morning through Main and Center Streets. Priya Mann has more on the legal battle coming to an end and what started all of this.
For some folks in Northville, this is a day they've been waiting years for. Just take a look at the intersection of Main and Center here in downtown Northville. The bollards are down. The streets were open in the winter and closed in the summer for years since the pandemic, but now all those bollards are gone after a Wayne County Circuit judge ordered the city to remove them last week, and these bollards blocked portions of Main and Center Streets in downtown Northville. The bollards have been up seasonally since the start of the pandemic to create more pedestrian space and support businesses, but the grassroots group Let's Open Northville felt otherwise and sued the city. The group said traffic was causing safety issues, and some business owners said backups had impacted their bottom line. But there were also plenty of residents who felt the closure fostered a unique sense of community in the downtown area. Take a listen to what the grassroots group had to say last week, explaining their concerns.
We found that traffic was going through the residential neighborhoods fast. People were frustrated about not being able to get downtown. School buses were diverted into the residential neighborhoods, which was really unsafe for them.
There were a lot of other folks in Northville who did not want to see those bollards go down, including the city manager, who said he was disappointed with the judge's decision. Important to note, in the judge's ruling, the city can still temporarily close these streets for parades or festivals. In Northville, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
Priya, thank you so much. We are about half an hour away now from Local 4's next Go Forward event. We know accidents, injuries can happen anytime, anywhere. So today's event is focusing just on the basics of first aid. If you haven't already signed up to take part, we are now accepting walk-ins. Dr. Frank McGeorge is live at UM Dearborn's Fairlane Center South building with a preview of all the things we can learn today. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Nick, how are you this morning?
Not too bad. I can't wait to see what you got for us.
So, basically we're doing first aid basics today, and everybody has something to learn here. I mean, even I need a refresher every now and then of things because things happen suddenly and you're not necessarily prepared. So it's good to know what to do in the case of sudden bleeding, if somebody collapses, if somebody has a diabetic emergency, if somebody has an allergic emergency. Those are all important things that people need to learn about. And so that's why we're presenting today first aid basics. So, and actually along those lines, I want to introduce you to one of our fabulous presenters. Her name is Tracy Fox. She actually came all the way up here from Florida to present to this class today. And Tracy, you've been with the Red Cross for years now, but you have a special connection that's come up in the last year and a half. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I was in D.C. for work and unfortunately was hit by motor coach and had a life-threatening injury. Was in the hospital for about 2 months, all told. Ended up having my foot amputated, but as part of that process, I needed blood transfusion and was fortunate enough to receive blood from the Red Cross that saved my life to get me out of that infection and on with the rest of my life doing great presentations like this today.
And I should point out, she is uncommonly cool about the description of all of this. I mean, this was a major thing. You were hit by a motor coach, and at the scene, your leg was a shambles. Talk about what people said and how this can just happen out of the blue to anybody.
Oh yeah, I was walking in the crosswalk. I had the light. I was doing everything I was supposed to do, and the bus caught me. It fortunately rolled me away from the bus, and so when I stopped rolling, there were instantly people at my side. There was a lot of conversation about, gosh, that's a lot of blood. Does anybody know how to put on a tourniquet? Do we need a tourniquet? And fortunately, one of the first people there was a former Army medic, and he said, no, everything's fine. EMS will be here in just a few minutes, which they were. But again, it speaks to knowing what to do in an emergency and being able to step in and respond.
And this was an important thing, that somebody was there that knew exactly what they were talking about and knew what to do so that basically there wasn't panic and you were being taken care of.
Exactly.
See, that's why people need these basic skills. So as I promised, I would leave you with one first aid fact every time you saw me on camera today. So I just want to talk a little bit about basic wound care. When people get even something as simple as a cut on their hand, there's sort of an immediate urge to either just cover it right away or maybe put something fancy on it, like rubbing alcohol or peroxide. The main thing that I want to leave you with regard to simple cuts is wash them. Wash them with soap and water. And I realize they're going to bleed. That's okay. Just just hold pressure after you're done washing them. It might hurt a little bit, it might sting when you're washing it out, but that's okay. The key is you've got to get the dirt, you've got to get the gravel, you've got to get whatever goo is in there. It should be as clean as your clean hand or whatever part of your body it is when you are done washing it. But wash it with soap and water. That is the most important thing you can do to prevent infections as it is healing. Nick?
All right, Doctor, thank you so much. We can't wait to see all the people showing up in about 23 minutes over in Dearborn. In fact, remember, we are taking walk-ins at U of M Dearborn. The Fairlane South Center is at 19,000 Hubbard Drive. When we come back, we are getting a look at the best of the best beards and mustaches in the country. The secret behind the men's fancy facial hair and these incredible competitions. Okay, got it. Okay. All right.
This is just like the byproduct.
Welcome back, everybody. I must ask you a question. See what they did there, right? Have you ever heard of the competition that shows you the best beards and mustaches in America? The World Beard and Mustache Competition was held earlier in the month in Pittsburgh, showing the dedication and community involvement when it comes to competitive bearding. If you haven't heard of it, then just hold on to your hair, because these guys are here and they're going to show us what's up. Live in studio with us, I've got Mark Burns over here. He won first place in the longer full beard style stash category. No? Oh, I thought he was saying no. Jason Trimble next to him, second place for the mutton chops, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jason Hine is over here, third place in the shorter full beard styled category. And then Sean Logie is over here next to him. He took the full beard, is it the neutral category? Natural category. Gentlemen, this is incredible. I'm surprised your microphones are actually working underneath your beard.
I was going to apologize if it was scratchy.
It probably will be at some point. Okay, first of all, what the heck is going on here? Like, this is a thing?
Absolutely. It's kind of like a dog show meets a beauty pageant meets Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Okay.
Because the points really don't matter. and we get these cool trophies that are going to collect dust, and we do it all for charity.
So that's the main point, right? So are you raising money for a specific charity, or do you choose your own? How does it work?
Well, different competitions benefit different charities.
Okay.
For example, the World competition this year benefited the Pittsburgh Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Last year, we hosted a national level competition at the Masonic where we were able to benefit both the Detroit Animal Welfare Group and another charity called Suck at Suicide.
Okay, all right. So please paint the picture for me. Like this competition, are we talking about thousands of good-looking dudes walking around with beards and mustaches like this?
Hundreds.
Hundreds? Okay, all right. Do you get weird looks on the streets when you're all walking together?
Mark just gets those normally.
What does it take to get that to happen? Like, what do you have in there? Is it just natural?
I use a got-to-be-glued hairspray that's a heavy hold up until about this point. I can't give all my secrets, but and then I use a mustache wax on the tips. So this is a little different style that I won Worlds with. My Worlds mustache went clear over the top of my, and I could bounce it from here to here.
How long did it take to grow all this?
My beard's about 9 years old now.
Okay.
I've been competing for about 8.
All right. How long is this?
After I got it trimmed, it was 36 inches.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't it get in the way?
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys eat with this stuff?
I have a technique where I like brush my mustache with my fingers and then I kind of hold the rest of it down, and then, you know, soup is a nightmare.
Well, right. What about like a burger where you got like one hand is already
knife and a fork?
Oh.
If not that, the other hand is just a pile of napkins.
Yeah. Just you say small pieces.
Small pieces.
Okay, so how much money has been raised for all these different charities?
Millions.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Over the years, yeah.
No, how long has this been going on?
So Worlds initially started in 1990 in Germany.
Yeah.
It happened, I believe, every 5 years up until the 2000s, where they moved to every 2 years.
Okay.
And there's thousands of clubs across the globe. At Worlds in Pittsburgh, we had representation from Germany, France, England, Australia, New Zealand, Japan.
No kidding.
Everybody was coming in.
Even Alaska.
No kidding. So I'm yeah, not that far. Are the Worlds always held like in the U.S. or is it travels? It moves.
So they just initiated it because it did have a string where it was in Europe for quite some time.
Okay.
And they just put in bylaws so every other Worlds is going to be in the U.S. Like this year it was in Pittsburgh. In 2027 it's going to be in Blackpool, England.
Okay.
And in 2029 it's going to be in Spokane, Washington.
Gotcha. Now I find it incredible that some of these top category winners, you know, the four of you are all throughout this area. I know, Jason, you're from the Flint area, but we still call you one of ours, right? Is there like a higher or a better concentration of beards and mustaches in Metro Detroit?
My experience is the larger beards are in the north. So I see that the guys that grow the beards in the south, they can't handle the heat, so you see a lot of shorter beards down south.
I got it.
Although there are some tremendous beards down south. But more commonly, I say the big beards grow in Michigan.
Of course they do. Everything's better in Michigan. I love you guys. You guys, it looks like you walked straight off of a movie set or out of a comic book. This is incredible. What do you want people to know about, you know, this world that few know even exists, and these competitions especially?
Women can compete.
They can?
Yes.
Do you have women competitors?
Absolutely.
Great women competitors.
There was some on the screen earlier while we were talking. They can crochet it. There was a lady that was dressed up like the Queen of Hearts, and she made a beard out of a deck of cards.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Super creative.
That is awesome.
If you have longer hair, you can braid it in front as well. There have been a couple of champions who've had their natural hair be their beard.
Okay.
One of the gals collected her husband's loose facial hair from his comb over the years, and she made a beard equal to his beard, and he's a champion. He's got it. So she wore that beard, took second place, and there's a great picture of them kissing. He's kissing his own beard.
Kissing his own beard. What does it take to the maintenance and the upkeep on these things? I mean, yours has got this nice straight line across there, and over. What does it take? What do you have to do?
Time and patience is
more time
pretty
or
much
more patience.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
And
But for daily upkeep, try to avoid shampoos that have alcohols in them, as they tend to cause more split ends.
Yeah.
Use a good oil and a good balm. That helps replace the natural depleted oils. Like when you've grown out a beard before, the itchy feeling that you get that makes you want to shave.
Right.
That's your natural oils being stripped. So using a beard oil replaces that and helps you continue to grow your beard.
Okay, I got to ask you guys. I mean, this is obviously a hobby. I mean, you still have like day jobs, and you have to do. Yeah. You don't.
But they wanted me to shave.
So you
I
quit.
said no.
Send them out. But how do you maintain this with normal day-to-day life? Like, what do you do for a living? Where do you work?
I work for a GM plant up in Michigan.
You can't work in a plant with that thing.
So I actually got threatened to be rode up. So I take it, I go up and over, then I go around a few times, then up through the middle. Like
I love it.
I can hear the control room laughing at the background.
There you go.
And now I'm ready for work.
So now you're plant safe.
Yep, I'm plant safe.
It's awesome. You guys, I love all of you. Thank you so much for coming in. If somebody wants to know more about the mustache and the beard world, especially the competitions, the fundraising, how do they do it? Where do they go?
There's a great resource online called Whisker Battles, and
Whisker Battles.
And it's got a whole calendar of all the different competitions like throughout the world. There's like a map view, everything. And then you can also see like what charity it is supporting.
Okay.
And like, let's say you can't make it, but
Right.
you're like, oh, I really, this charity really speaks to me.
Yeah.
Well, I can go right to their website and give.
And just, okay, yeah. And if I was laughing too much, I apologize, but I mean, you guys are incredible. But it is all really for a great cause. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming in. This is the best thing I've ever had on this show, especially Mark. He just gets his own camera from now on. Just keep it there.
We can call that one Mark.
That one Mark.
Mark 2.
When we come back, Ash is going to try to do the forecast with these guys around.
Now, forewarned weather with Exact Track 4D.
Well, it's going to be a hot and hazy day as air quality remains a concern across southeastern Michigan. The advisory has been extended through today, so just alerting you that the air quality will be unhealthy for sensitive groups. Now, temperature changes. Today, hottest day of the week, but we do have a cooler end to the week where it'll be much more pleasant by the time we get to Friday, which means we have a couple more days to get through. So we have some storm chances sandwiched in between all that on your Wednesday and Thursday. Air quality alert will lift tonight, but right now in effect for southeastern Michigan, where the air quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups. What does that mean? Well, those that might suffer from asthma or upper respiratory illnesses. Check on your neighbors, your loved ones, and those folks should be limiting time outside. And if you could do the same, I mean, that's the safer bet, but at least there's a little improvement from this being unhealthy for everyone like it was yesterday. So looking at the map right now, where we do have moderate pollutants from the smoke draping the Great Lakes region, but a little worse across southeastern Michigan. So that smoke forecast will be improving as this is set to lift to the north and northeast. So by the time we get to tomorrow morning, you'll notice a difference. However, we're trading that smoke for severe weather potential. So marginal level 1 risk for strong to severe storms from lower Michigan off towards Denver, with that slight level 2 risk just to the west of Lake Michigan stretching down towards Chicago. That's for your Wednesday. So we will have more of the pop-up scattered variety showers and storms. Otherwise, this is a good pool day today as we have calm conditions, but it'll be that hazy sunshine. Lather up on the sunscreen. That smoke not going to protect you still from the UV index, but we'll be in the low 90s and overall just a hot day. So try to stay hydrated and cool and maybe limit that pool time outside because of the air quality. So clouds and radar, a couple little shower chances on the east side in the morning, but a better chance for more of the pop-up scattered variety heading into the afternoon and evening tomorrow. And so you might get just a brief passing downpour, but we do have a front that kind of situates itself to our north. I think that brings better rain potential as far as the intensity up into the thumb region by tomorrow evening. But what I'm not going to rule out as a low pressure system rolls through is the fact that we could have some heavier downpours Wednesday night, and then a cold front sweeps through Thursday. You'll see what I'm talking about here. Here's that low, and then that cold front sweeping in, and that could trigger some more linear storms by the time we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. But the high pressure will replace that, which means Friday we should get those blue skies that we're overdue for, because the last couple days we should have had blue skies and we've had the hazy conditions from the wildfire smoke. So upper 80s on Wednesday, still in the mid to upper 80s Thursday before that cold front brings that cooler, more dry air mass, and we'll be right around 80 for the afternoon high on Friday. Some areas might not even reach that. Upper 70s possible, and then seasonal low 80s for the rest of the upcoming weekend.
Ashley, thank you so much. The beards are gone, unfortunately, but you know, Kim and Tati are going to come back. It's a big shoe to fill, big beard to fill, but they're going to tell us what's coming up on Live in the D. Welcome back, everybody. A big chance coming up to get some lakefront property or riverfront property for a pretty good price. The Michigan DNR is holding 11 auctions for surplus land from August 1st to September 5th. The properties range in size from 1 acre up to 200 acres. They're all over Michigan, including up north in Grand Traverse County. The DNR says properties will go to auction by county, and you can find the full list of land on the DNR's website. Kim is already logging on to see what she can buy, right?
I'm just like, define pretty good price. Because
I feel like a lot of people would have a different interpretation.
I'm sure they would.
And is it actually lakefront or is it lake adjacent? Like I have to walk a few blocks to get to the water.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've found that they can be kind of.
It's kind of like when you rent a beautiful lakefront house and it's like, wait, it's 3 blocks away.
Right. I've been there. That's what I'm saying. What exactly do you mean by that? But that's exciting.
What's happening on Live in the D today?
Well, it's a really exciting day. Let's talk about
nails. Yeah. Okay, so we have to say we got our nails done.
We did.
This is professional.
We did.
Okay.
But sometimes we do it ourselves.
That's right.
Okay.
So you have a daughter.
Uh-huh.
Have you paid for her to get her nails done?
A few times.
It's expensive.
It's
pricey. So now we're very well.
That's why it's been a few times.
Yeah. Now there's a very well-known nail polish brand, ladies. OPI, you know what I'm talking about. They have come up with an at-home gel kit for consumers, and a lot of the nail techs are not happy about it.
Oh. So like DIY nails.
Exactly.
Okay.
So a lot cheaper for the consumer, but is this bad for business for people who?
How do you like paint and then like does this one?
Well, that's why they make it kind of easier for you.
Oh.
I'll say that there's nothing as good as going to they're professionals.
Right,
It's kind of like I can cut my own hair or I can go to the salon kind of thing.
We just like saving some money every now and then.
That's fair. That's
so.
But we're talking about that. It is one of our Couch Club questions of the day.
Okay.
Also, we're checking in on the Go For It event. I know that you've been checking in as well.
Doc McGee is out there teaching us everything we need to know.
And I'll be out there later on today.
Okay.
I'm a little accident prone, so it'll be good for me to get some. I was
telling like a personal thing for Tati.
I was telling Kim, I was like, someone said you're not supposed to use Neosporin the way we've been using it.
Apparently not.
You've heard this too.
Yes.
Hydrogen peroxide. So I think I'm going to get, I need a refresher on what to do.
Sorry, Brecken says we have to go. Producer Brecken. You're such a buzzkill, Brecken.
Thanks, Nick.